Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about something that didn't quite make it onto the show, but absolutely matters. Last year, in 2024, Kody and Robyn sold their well-known Flagstaff home on Hash Knife Trail. You've probably heard it called the Hash Knife House. Robyn says it sold for about $1.7 million. And this is the same house we saw featured again and again on Sister Wives. Even now, it's still at the center of a financial disagreement involving Kody, Robyn, Janelle, and Mary. But here's the part viewers didn't get to see. The house wasn't exactly in great shape. In just 5 years, the home had fallen into noticeable disrepair. We're talking serious issues in the bathroom and a deck that was literally falling apart. This wasn't about packing boxes or moving stress. The real reason the house took so long to sell, after they'd already bought a new one, was because major construction had to be done before the deal could close. Why? Because the buyer demanded repairs. The house couldn't pass inspection as is. Plain and simple. So before any sale could happen, Kody and Robyn had to fix what had gone wrong. Kody even said on the show, "It's not moving to the new house that's the problem. It's that this house doesn't want us to leave." From the moment they decided to buy another home, problems with the old one started popping up, and those problems had to be corrected before selling. Now, let me pause here and talk with you for a moment. Because if you've ever sold a house, or even helped someone sell one, you know how strange this explanation sounds. Normally, one of the very first things you do when selling a home is hire a realtor, a listing agent. That agent walks through the house with you and helps identify what needs attention before the home ever hits the market. They'll look at cosmetic issues, yes, but also at bigger concerns that could scare off buyers or drive the price down. Major problems, things like leaks, mold, or structural damage, are usually handled before listing. If you leave those issues unresolved, buyers have leverage. They can ask for price cuts, demand repairs, or walk away altogether. And most buyers don't want to inherit someone else's problems. Now, Flagstaff's real estate market was unusual at the time, no doubt about it. Even so, Kody and Robyn's home sold for around $1.775 million, and that price included not just the house, but extra acreage next to the property. So, it was sold as a package deal, house plus a couple of acres. We don't know exactly how much of that price was for the house alone. Still, their agent, Justin, should have done a walkthrough early on. And during that process, some serious issues came to light. What Kody didn't spell out on the show was that there was black mold in the bathroom, there was a leak running down the walls, and the deck wasn't just weathered, it was unsafe. The railing had to be completely repaired. Instead of fixing these things up front, Kody tried to sell the home as what's called deferred maintenance. In other words, you buy it, you fix it. And let me tell you, most buyers are not interested in that, especially at this price point. So while the show made it sound like the house itself was resisting change, the reality was much more practical and much more expensive. Most buyers don't want to purchase a house and immediately start fixing major problems unless they're shopping specifically for a fixer-upper. And this home? It was absolutely not in the fixer-upper category. So, I want to make that clear right up front. Kody even admitted that the problems still weren't fully resolved. He said he had promised a buyer that he would personally oversee the work, make sure it was done with integrity, and ensure the buyer was satisfied. He also mentioned the constant hassle, people in and out of the house nonstop, remediation crews, sheetrock workers, tile companies, all of it. And that right there tells us a lot. When someone says they needed a remediation company, that's not a small cosmetic issue. A remediation company is brought in to remove contaminants, things that make a home unsafe to live in. In this case, It strongly points to a serious black mold problem. Not just a little surface mold in one spot, but mold that had spread down the walls. What likely happened is this. The shower was leaking behind the walls. To fix that, they had to tear everything out. The entire shower area had to be demolished so workers could get to the source of the mold, clean it out completely, and make sure no contaminants were left behind. Only after that could they rebuild, retiling the shower, repairing plumbing, regrouting, and fixing whatever pipe had failed. From what was floating around at the time, it sounds like a pipe either broke or had been leaking behind the shower for a long time without anyone realizing it. Flagstaff gets cold, pipes freeze, it happens. But still. And let me be real with you for a moment. Walk-in showers are beautiful, but they can be a headache. I have one myself, and we're dealing with drywall issues right next to it because water splashes more than you expect. Even when you're careful, moisture builds up, drywall can weaken, and if you don't stay on top of it, that's how mold starts. We're repairing ours now. Thankfully, we don't have mold like Kody did, but if you ignore these things long enough, that's where you end up. And that's what this tells me. It doesn't sound like Kody and Robyn were proactive about maintaining the home. It sounds like they wanted out once the house became a problem. Not because they were chasing a fresh start, but because there was already a mold issue. My guess? They knew something was wrong and hoped to move before it blew up. But then, the buyer came in. The lender came in. The inspection happened. And once mold is discovered, everything stops. You cannot sell a home with an active mold issue. It's a health risk. It's unsafe. The house has to be brought up to code and made livable before anyone else can move in. So when Kody acts like, "Oh wow, we just found this problem. How strange." I'm sorry, but that doesn't ring true. That sounds like damage control, not surprise. He even went on to thank the flooring company and said everyone had worked so wonderfully with them. And yes, there was a lot of work to be done before the house could officially close. Because here's the key point. The house was technically sold, but it couldn't close until every one of those issues was fixed. Now, something else caught my attention in those bonus scenes. Robyn was choosing her words very carefully with Kody. For example, when Kody said, "Wow, our house sold in 2 weeks." I've never heard of that. I almost laughed. 2 weeks in Flagstaff at that time? That wasn't shocking. There were houses being listed and getting offers the same day. Properties were flying off the market. So yes, 2 weeks is fine, it's good, but it's hardly the miracle Kody made it out to be. I mean, yes, 2 weeks is a fast offer. No one's denying that. But let's be clear here. A sales offer is not the same thing as a sold home. Those are two very different milestones. Then Robyn jumps in with, "Well, my house in Vegas sold fast. It was like 3 weeks." And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Robyn? So, by that logic, the Flagstaff house didn't exactly break records either. If anything, Vegas was right there with it. So, what's the point being made? And then comes this back and forth moment where Kody says, "We still have a lot of work before this house can be sold." Robyn corrects him and says, "Well, the house is already sold. It just needs to close." All right, I'm not trying to play word games here, but let's play word games for just a second. A house is not officially sold until it closes. Period. So as much as it pains me to say this, Kody was technically right. What they had was a sales agreement, and that agreement was contingent. Contingent on the repairs being completed. Contingent on the home passing inspection. And only after all that would the deal close and the house truly be sold. And just to clear something up, the contingency had nothing to do with the buyer's finances. The buyer paid cash for this house. The delay was entirely because of the mold problem. Now here's where Kody's story really starts to stretch. He acts like it was nearly impossible to get people out to the house to fix things, like it was some great mystery or major hardship. At the time, there were even rumors going around that during showings, the real estate agent was telling people they were having trouble getting contractors to come out, or that workers would show up and then leave. But then Kody turns around and says, "These people have been on the spot." Okay, Kody, let's slow that down. That's not strange. That's not unusual. That's literally what contractors do when you hire them and pay them. Remodelers show up. Remediation teams do remediation. Sheetrock gets replaced. Tile gets installed. This isn't some rare event. And it's not like this house was in the middle of nowhere with no access to services. Flagstaff is not off the grid. Getting workers out there was not the real issue. If I had to guess, and this is just common sense, it sounds more like they may have been trying to get the work done cheap before they were serious about selling. Maybe shopping around. Maybe waiting. Maybe not wanting to spend the money yet. Or maybe it was a cash flow issue. Or maybe it was simply not wanting to part with the cash unless absolutely necessary. And honestly, that happens all the time. If something in your house isn't urgent, people put it off. You live with it. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. I'll be honest with you. We've had a bathroom issue in our own home for a couple years now. But we're not selling. This is our forever home. I don't like moving. The house works for us. It fits our life. I don't need a mansion. I don't need to live outside my means. I don't care about being flashy or materialistic. And at this stage of life, I'm not interested in taking on a massive mortgage. I want the house paid off and done. That's it. So when you're not selling, repairs don't always feel urgent. You fix things when you're ready, because it's your house. But the moment you decide to sell, everything changes. And that's the part Kody seems to gloss over. You don't want your house falling apart. But let's be honest, all of us could walk through our homes right now and point out a dozen things that should be fixed. I'm sitting in my office as I'm saying this, and I still haven't painted 1.5 walls. I started the job a year ago, ran out of paint, and just stopped. One wall is one color, the other is another. I've got doors my dog scratched up, baseboards that need repair, and floors that could use attention. We need to repaint the whole house again, eventually. But here's the thing. I've got a kid and animals. And until the animals are older and my kid is grown, I'm just not in a rush. Stuff gets banged up, things get dirty, toys hit the walls, mud gets tracked in. Life happens. And now, as an adult, I finally understand why my parents and aunts used to say, "We're not fixing anything until you kids move out." I get it now. Kids are messy, they play hard, they throw things, they're rough on houses, and honestly, that's part of having a fun, lived-in home. It's normal. But here's where Kody and Robyn's situation is different. They don't stay anywhere long enough for this level of damage to make sense. Developing a severe mold problem in just 4 years is fast. That doesn't happen from normal wear and tear. That happens when a serious issue, like a leaking pipe, is ignored. If a pipe is leaking behind a shower or a wall, that's not a "we'll get to it later" kind of thing. That's an immediate fix. Immediately. When we first moved into our house, our dishwasher wasn't installed correctly. It shook, cracked a pipe, and water leaked all the way into the basement ceiling. We didn't wait. We had drywall people out right away. That's just what you do. What it sounds like here is that they had a leak, and they didn't fix it. And you just can't do that. Not without consequences. And honestly, I can't help but wonder what's going to happen to the house they're in now. They have a lot of kids. No animals. But still, homes don't get trashed this fast unless someone isn't paying attention or doesn't care to maintain them. And that's what it comes down to for me. I don't think Kody sees houses as long-term homes. They're just places he lives. For now. Temporary stops. He treats them more like financial tools. Look at the HELOC he has now, an interest-only loan. About $750,000. The house becomes a piggy bank. And that's actually the opposite of how people who care about long-term investment usually treat real estate. The fact that they already have an interest-only loan on their new house tells me this one isn't meant to be long-term either. They know it, and if that's the mindset, maintenance often takes a back seat. Honestly, talking through all of this is making me want to go fix everything in my house. How about you? Let me know what you think in the comments. If this video helped or got you thinking, give it a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and click the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties!